Welcome back to Beyond Global Waves. We've got an interesting one for you today. We're going to be doing a deep dive into something that happened to us recently.
Oh, this should be good. What happened?
Well, we got hit by scammers.
Oh, no, really? What kind of
It
scam?
was a phishing scam, and get this, it was targeted at our website, nexus.org.
Wow, that's bold. I mean, targeting the very platform that's hosting this show.
Right, and that's Nexus, all one word, by the way, not Nexus. And here's the kicker. Our website and this podcast have absolutely nothing to do with investing or cryptocurrencies.
So they were just randomly going after websites.
Seems like it. Anyway, these scammers were trying to get their hands on some Bitcoin. Can you believe it?
So what happened? Did they get anything?
Nope. We managed to shut them down, but it was a pretty wild ride.
Yeah.
We actually have the chat logs from our interactions with the scammers.
Oh, that's fascinating. I'd love to hear more about this.
So the first scammer we encountered called herself Madeline Daniel and claimed to be from the UK. Super friendly, seemed genuinely interested in, investing a decent amount of money, like £3,000. Even mentioned using Barclays Bank, trying to sound
A
legit.
classic tactic. They create a persona that seems relatable to gain your trust. So what happened next? Did you give her any information?
Not a chance. We're not that naive. But, at first glance, it all seemed pretty plausible. I mean, I almost fell for it myself.
I can see how it could be convincing. These scammers are getting more sophisticated all the time. But how did you figure out it was a scam?
Well, we did a quick check on her IP address, which is like a digital return address for a computer, And guess what? She was actually connecting from the US.
Uh-huh. So they were using a VPN to mask their true location.
A VPN. What's that?
It's a tool that allows you to connect to the internet through a server in a different location. So even though the scammer was physically in the US, they could make it look like they were browsing from the UK.
So that's how they were trying to pull it off.
Exactly. It's all about creating a false sense of legitimacy. But it's a pretty big red flag if someone's story doesn't match up with their digital footprint.
Okay, yeah. So back to Madeline. She was also really good at playing the newbie card. Kept saying things like, I'm new to this, or I'm a bit of a newbie, trying to make herself seem less suspicious.
Right. Classic social engineering. They play on your sympathy to make you less likely to question their motives.
It's like they're reading from a script or something. So how did she try to get information from you?
It started off small, just asking for my full name for verification purposes. But then she smoothly moved on to asking about my bank, claiming it was necessary to ensure smooth processing of the investment, making sure everything's compliant.
The compliance card.
Yeah.
Always a favorite among scammers.
Right. And before I knew it, she was asking for the first few digits of my sort code. Claimed Barclays sometimes has extra steps for first-time crypto buyers. At this point, I was definitely getting suspicious. It's so important to remember that no legitimate organization, especially those dealing with financial transactions, would ever ask for sensitive banking information via online chat. That's a huge red flag you should never ignore.
Absolutely. And that's when we decided to have a little fun with Madeline.
Oh, what did you do?
We decided to follow the advice of a helpful AI chatbot and turn the tables on the scammer. We never promised to help her invest, and of course, we never gave out any of our banking information.
So how did you play along? What did you say?
Well, instead of answering her questions, we started asking her for more details, things like her full sort code. We told her we needed this information to verify her claims and location.
Clever. You shifted the power dynamic and put her on the defensive.
Exactly. And then, to really test the waters, we asked her if she would be willing to make a small test donation of $1,000 in Bitcoin to our organization.
Brilliant. That's a great way to expose their true intentions without actually putting yourself at risk.
Plus, it actually aligns with our real purpose, since we do rely on donations to support our work.
It's a win-win. You get valuable information about the scammers' tactics, you waste their time, and you potentially save someone else from becoming a victim.
Well, guess what? As soon as we mentioned Bitcoin, Madeline disappeared from the chat like a ghost.
Uh-huh. Not surprising. Scammers are all about the easy targets. They don't like it when you push back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But hold on, it doesn't end there.
Uh-uh.
While all this was happening, we actually encountered a second scammer.
Whoa, 2 scammers in one go. You guys were busy.
Tell me about it. This one was even sneakier than Madeline. They were operating from a Romanian IP address.
Interesting. So maybe these aren't just isolated incidents, but part of a larger coordinated operation.
That's what we were starting to think. But this second scammer, they were even more evasive than Madeline, refusing to even name their bank at first, It's like pulling teeth.
They were probably trying to keep their options open, so they could tailor their scam to whoever they were talking to.
Right. And just like Madeline, they kept circling back to asking for my bank transfer details. It was like a broken record.
That relentless focus on getting your bank info without any real interest in the supposed transaction is a classic scammer tactic. It's a huge red flag.
Yeah. So we decided to use the same strategy that worked with Madeline. We asked for their full name and sort code, for compliance purposes. Figured if they're going to play games, we can play games too.
I like your style. So did they take the bait?
Well, they did give us a name, Ian Bernard, but still wouldn't cough up their bank. Just kept repeating those generic requests for bank transfer details over and over. It was like talking to a wall.
They were probably working from a script or maybe even using some kind of AI chatbot. It's getting harder and harder to tell the difference these days.
It really is. At this point, we were pretty sure Madeline and Ian were part of the same operation, just using different names and locations to try and scam more people. I mean, both of them claimed to be from the UK, but were actually operating from the US and Romania, remember?
Right. Those VPNs, again, trying to create a false sense of security. It's all smoke and mirrors.
Exactly. So we decided to call Ian out on it, told him we weren't going to provide any bank information, and that if they were serious, they could make a donation in Bitcoin.
Nice. You took control of the situation and set your own terms.
Yep. We figured it was time to lay down the law.
So what happened? Did Ian fold?
They did. Tried to save face by saying, I totally understand, but then they quickly ended the chat. They knew the game was up.
Smart move on their part. Scammers don't like wasting time on people who aren't falling for their tricks. They're always looking for the easiest targets.
It's a shame, but it is what it is. The good news is we wasted their time and maybe even prevented them from scamming someone else. But this whole experience has got me thinking, how has technology changed the game for scammers? These guys were using VPNs, maybe even AI-powered chatbots to make their scams more convincing.
You've hit on a crucial point. Technology is a double-edged sword. It empowers us in so many ways, but it also gives these fraudsters sophisticated tools to make their schemes more difficult to detect.
It's scary to think about. It feels like we're entering a whole new era of online scams, where it's going to be harder than ever to tell what's real and what's fake.
You're right. It's more important than ever to be vigilant and informed. We need to stay one step ahead of these scammers.
Absolutely. And that's what we're going to focus on now. We're going to move beyond the specifics of our encounter and talk about some general principles for staying safe online.
Sounds good to me. Let's arm our listeners with the knowledge they need to protect themselves.
Exactly. Because as we've seen, anyone can be a target.
You got that right. No one is immune to these scams.
So stay tuned, everyone. We're going to be back after a quick break with some essential tips for staying safe in this wild west of the internet.
Don't go anywhere. Okay, so we've got to talk about staying safe online. I mean, what can people do?
Right. I mean, after our little adventure with the scammers, it's clear that anyone can be a target.
Absolutely. And the first thing everyone needs to remember is this golden rule. Never, ever give out your bank details via online chat, email, or those random messages that pop up.
No matter how friendly or official they seem, right?
Exactly. Think about it. You wouldn't walk down the street shouting your bank account number.
True. So even if someone's super convincing, like, remember Madeline, we got to be super careful about sharing any personal or financial info online.
Spot on, and watch out for those requests for test transfers or upfront fees. It's a classic scammer move.
Like when we asked Madeline for that Bitcoin donation, that totally threw her off.
Exactly. Legitimate organizations don't operate like that. They have proper payment systems. So if something feels off, trust your gut.
So protecting bank details, avoiding weird payment requests, got it. Anything else?
Yeah, inconsistencies. Pay attention to them. Like, if someone says they're in London, but their IP address screams Timbuktu.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Like, I am not even naming their bank, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if their story changes or they dodge your questions, be suspicious.
Okay, got it. Be skeptical, ask questions, and don't feel pressured.
Exactly. Take your time, do your research, and if something feels wrong, trust your instincts.
It's better to be safe than sorry, right? I mean, it's your money. Don't let anyone rush you into something you're not comfortable with.
You got it. And don't hesitate to walk away, block them, or report them if you need to.
So knowledge is power, especially in the digital age.
Absolutely. The more you know about these tactics, the less likely you'll fall for them.
It's a wild world out there, but we can stay ahead of the game if we're informed.
Exactly. So everyone listening, stay safe out there.
And remember, if it sounds too good to be true, It probably is.
So much for Madeline and Ian wanting to invest, eh?
Right. More like Madeline and run away. But seriously, it's amazing how sneaky they were.
And you know, one of the most worrying things is the rise of AI in these scams. Those chatbots, they can sound so human.
It's kind of creepy, right? Like, how do we even know who we're really talking to anymore? So before we wrap up, what are the big things people should remember?
Okay, number one, guard those bank details like they're the crown jewels. No giving them out online, no matter what.
No matter how convincing they sound, right? Even if they're name-dropping banks like Barclays.
Nope. Legitimate businesses don't operate that way. They have secure systems for a reason.
So even if someone seems legit, like our friend Madeline, always be careful what you share online.
Exactly. And watch out for those test transfer requests or any upfront fees. Those are classic scammer tricks.
Yeah, like when we asked Madeline for that Bitcoin donation, that really threw her for a loop.
That's a good strategy. Legitimate organizations don't play those games. They have clear payment processes, so trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is.
So protect your bank info. Watch out for those weird payment requests. Okay, got it. What else should people look out for?
Inconsistencies. Does their story change? Do they avoid answering your questions directly?
Like Ian dodging the whole "what bank do you use" question.
Exactly. Those are red flags. Don't be afraid to be skeptical, ask questions, and don't let them pressure you.
Right. Take your time, do your research, and if something feels wrong, just walk away.
Exactly. You have the right to protect yourself. Block them, report them, whatever you need to do.
So it's a digital jungle out there. We need to be smart and stay informed.
Knowledge is power. The more you know about these scams, the better equipped you'll be to avoid them.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We hope you found it informative and maybe even a little bit entertaining.
We definitely had some fun with those scammers.
A huge thank you to our expert for sharing their insights and advice. And to all our listeners, stay safe online.
And remember, if it sounds too good to be true,
It probably is.